Welcome into the Locked On Knicks podcast. I'm Gavin Schall, and tonight the New York Knicks actually did things right in the clutch, and you know what happened? They won the game. I'm going to tell you why and how right now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Knicks, and we are lucky enough to have today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. But hey, who's talking to you? I'm Gavin Schall, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster. I just want to thank you for making Locked On Knicks your first listen today and every day. We're now available on all platforms. And I think most of you know at this point, but for those of you who are new, first of all, welcome. Second of all, we are now available on YouTube, so please go throw us a subscription there. Like, comment, all that good stuff. It helps us, and hey, make sure you never miss a video. And you don't want to miss videos. And the New York Knicks are playing this well, coming off one of their best wins of the season over the Philadelphia 76ers. It would have been pretty typical of this year's Knicks, and honestly, the Knicks for significant portions of Tom Thibodeau's tenure to put out a stinker against, you know what, I hesitate to say a stinker because over the last, 30 games or so, the Orlando Magic have been certainly not a great team, but a solid one, maybe even an above average one, led by one of the better young cores in the NBA. But this very, very easily could have been a trap game for the New York Knicks. When you look at the schedule before this game, you look at the schedule after this game, this was the one they quote unquote should win. And typically those are kind of the ones the Knicks end up losing. That was not the case tonight. A 102-98 victory in Orlando over the Magic. It sounded like MSG there at points. The whole crowd was chanting, defense. They were getting really, really into it for the Knicks. It was kind of cool to watch. And in turn, the Knicks stars really came through, namely Jalen Brunson, a hyper-efficient night, 25 points, 9 for 13 from the field, 5 assists, but so much of that production came when the Knicks absolutely needed it most. 10 points and an assist in the final 3 minutes and 30 seconds of this game. Went 4 for 4 from the free throw line inside the final 10 seconds to help the Knicks seal this one up. And what stood out to me with Brunson, in terms of how he got those baskets, were one, his composure, which obviously, I not to rip on the guy, because Julius Randle had a pretty significant play to help seal this game up, rebounding Paolo Banchero's missed free throw up by 2 were the Knicks at that point, in pretty heavy traffic, and then going down and hitting 2 free throws to ensure the Magic couldn't get a last second 3 to tie things up. But I still think this game showcased the importance of keeping the ball in Jalen Brunson's hands versus Randle's hands down the stretch of games, because Brunson just consistently flashes the ability to get easy separation. And Randle this year, we've talked a lot about how explosive he is, and there are moments where he is just beating his guy very cleanly off the dribble. But I feel like late in games that happens far and few between. First, just for the very simple reason that he is a bigger target. He's inherently a little bit less slippery than Brunson is, and his style is a bit more brute force, right? It's lower shoulder, bump off of you, and separate. Late in games, especially like when the lane tends to be like a little bit more crowded and everyone's just a bit more locked in terms of their help responsibilities, like it's harder to play that bowling ball style of basketball. But the bigger difference is just the decision making and how careful Brunson is with the ball, and how grounded his game is in fundamentals. I mean, you saw it. I think it was Franz Wagner and Markelle Fultz at one point got a double team on him, and I was watching the game on replay. I was watching the Magic broadcast, and they kind of came out and commented, like, I have no idea how Jalen Brunson kept the ball in that situation. Just a rapid fire crossover, just move the ball along. And I can't even remember if the Knicks scored on that possession, but the point was that it wasn't a live ball turnover versus with Randall, he got it late in the game, 142 left, jab step, tripped over himself and traveled. And look, he redeemed himself. He made big shot after big shot during this game. This is not me coming on and trying to rip Julius Randle, but Brunson is just surer hands. I mean, we can go through the end game sequence. Had a start, stop, lefty floater with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Also got fouled, ended up missing the free throw. Then a double between the legs, pull-up pop on Paolo Banchero, maybe like 17 feet out, left elbow. That was cash, 2:27 to go. And then beat Markelle Fultz on a between-the-legs cross into a lefty floater banker with 1:13 left. And then this was maybe my favorite play in the sequence. Attacked Fultz, got by him, and then drew Wendell Carter up. And that made a lot of sense. And that has kind of been the story of how teams have shut down the Knicks late in games ever since Mitchell Robinson got hurt. It is because the center can step up and is generally pretty confident, like whether it's Isaiah Hartenstein, who's obviously been, before this game at least, been playing exceptionally of late, or Jericho Sims. They are probably not going to hurt us. But this time, Sims had a essentially perfectly timed cut from the corner. But because he was coming from the corner, Brunson needed to buy a little time. And Brunson recognized that, added at the end of his move, like a little like 1-2 Euro step, shuffled it to Sims. Sims jammed it home. And the New York Knicks were in business. And then, as mentioned, inside the final 7 seconds, 4 for 4 from the line. So after that, shout out to Knicks Film School's Jonathan Macri for pointing this stat out. He actually moved 1 point ahead of De'Aaron Fox for leading the entire NBA in clutch points, 120 on the season, with Fox only at 119. And if you're going to tell me that guy's still not an all-star, pending Kevin Durant's health or anyone else in the Eastern Conference missing the game, particularly with Kyrie Irving now in the West, I'm not quite sure how that's being handled, but Jalen Brunson once again proving himself to be a deserving all-star this season because he is as good or better in the clutch than any single player in the NBA. The other big adjustment for the New York Knicks in the clutch of this game was to foul opposing three-point shooters. Obviously, they've gotten burned different ways this year, right? Because against Luka, like they got the foul, like that's nominally what the numbers tell you to do. And then Luka made one, missed a second, got his own rebound, put it back, and the Knicks somehow had one of the most improbable losses in NBA history, right around a 1 in 14,000 chance of blowing that game, and they did it. And then, all right, like Tibbs is like, I learned my lesson. We're just going to play this out. And then Nick Batum and the Clippers break their heart with a last-second three, go to OT, knock them off, robbing the Knicks of a great win. And what could have turned into, I mean, who knows if they still win the Sixers game, if they win the Clippers game, but could have been one of the better weeks of the Knicks season, and that went out the window. Say that to say the Knicks switched back again this game. They fouled down the stretch, and they didn't give the Magic an opportunity to get off a potential game-tying three-point shot. And you have to do two things if you play the foul game. If they're making, you also got to make. And the Knicks did that again. Brunson 4 for 4, Randall 2 for 2. Knicks get out with a 4-point victory. On top of that, you got to be able to secure competitive rebounds. And on those final Banchero shots, Tibbs went with, and I appreciated this because like this was in a week that's really been pretty great for Tom Thibodeau in terms of his in-game adjustments. He adjusted from that Mavericks loss where he didn't have quite enough size on the free throw line, and he said, all right, I'm giving you everything I got. Isaiah Hartenstein in, Jericho Sims in, Julius Randle in, and as Randle crashing from the second spot on the free throw line, securing a big-time rebound in traffic that ultimately won this game for the New York Knicks. So see, we came around on Julius Randle. When we come back, I want to get more depth on Randle's performance, talk about Immanuel Quickley having another, I feel like a broken record with that. Every night is outstanding recently for Immanuel Quickley. And of course, typical from RJ Barrett, kind of an up and down performance from him. But before I do that, I got to tell you guys about LinkedIn. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. I have certainly found that to be true on LinkedIn. I've only ever operated as a hiree, not a hirer on LinkedIn. But it is incredible when, like, I mean, I won't go into detail, but I had a recent experience with someone who I worked with. Like, I didn't even cross over with at my previous job, but just kind of knew through like mutual LinkedIn connections. And I hit him up and I said, "Hey man, like I really like what you're doing. I would love to do that one day." And he said, "All right, let me put you on a list and look, we'll see where it goes." But that never would have happened without LinkedIn. And on the flip side, LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to find open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resumes data by using insights from your job post company. Their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. There's just no other site that matches that kind of volume. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. That's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competition. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to put your post for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, with that, boys and girls, of course, we are back on Locked On Knicks. I'm Gavin Schall, taking you solo through this one. Julius Randle, a really good night for the most part. 22 points, 14 boards, 6 assists. Did have 4 turnovers, and I mean, maybe I just can't help myself with them. I'm going to start with kind of a dual-sided coin, and that is Julius's efforts to draw fouls. Where I wrote this down early in the game. Like there are points this year where he is brilliant at it, and this wasn't really. People can tell me if my memory is abandoning me, but as far as I remember, not really a skill of his when he first joined the Knicks, and it's almost like he just watched like Immanuel Quickley's rookie tape on a loop, or if you remember Kevin Durant and Chris Paul when they used to get fouls on swipe threes. But it's harder than ever in the modern NBA. Well, not harder than ever, but harder than it's been in the last decade to bait fouls on jump shots. And Randle has become a master of it. I mean, just it's just a lot of subtle work pre-shot, like pumping, getting a guy up in the air, finding a hand in the cookie jar. And the second it's there, rising up. Like Immanuel Quickley is a genius at it. I would say outside of him, Randle is the next best guy. Okay, Jalen Brunson, but Randle is probably the third best guy on the New York Knicks at doing just that. But at times, I think he has fallen prey to being a little bit too reliant on it versus just being kind of like the bulldozing force going downhill that has really driven his success this season. And he had 2 pretty bad turnovers in this game, trying to bait fouls. Like one where he airballed a 3, and then one where he just kind of like threw up like a wing jumper that I think was also an air ball. And those are the kind of plays against the team slightly better than the Orlando Magic, like could ultimately cost you a game. We already noted the travel down the stretch, but now let's talk about some of the good with Julius Randle. What I always look for when I'm watching Julius and what I think is kind of a litmus test for whether or not it's going to be a good night for him is how quickly he is letting the ball leave his hands, whether that is on a shot or on a pass. And tonight he flashed both. One of my favorites was he was bringing the ball up and his head, this was like late first quarter, maybe middle first quarter. Head was just on a swivel, right? Darting around, who's open, who has an advantage. Bringing up with some pace, saw Grimes was fairly uncovered, or his guy was kind of like asleep or like sitting over and help. Quick pass to Grimes. Grimes beats the closeout as he always seems to be able to do. Sped in, double pump. It's an awesome play by Quentin Grimes, but it's one that never, ever happens if Randle is a split second later recognizing that he was open and making that pass. So that was fantastic for Julius Randle. He had the bank shot going tonight. Was able to drive to the rim, like generate some contact, and then get some glass floaters to go in. And just the tough shot making is just always a necessary ingredient, because sometimes the Knicks just don't run the prettiest offense. I mean, we see it from Jalen Brunson game in and game out. I mean, tonight it was Randle's turn. Like I think I counted 3 threes in the first half where he had a guy right in his face, and it didn't even matter. And he had one step back over a double team to beat the shot clock. And sometimes against a team with maybe not the best record in the world, but with some top line talent, even if it's really young, and guys like Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero and Markelle Fultz look I don't know if every bit the number one pick is accurate, but every bit like the top prospect. He was once considered in this game, and you know what? Julius ensured that the Knicks didn't blow this one against a really tough young team. And I think anyone who watched this game came away really respecting the Orlando Magic. Immanuel Quickley has fully turned his season around after kind of a disappointing start, and you were in a place where you're like, all right, I guess, I mean, first 10 games of the season, I guess Obi Toppin is breaking out, and I guess Immanuel Quickley just sort of is who he is. And now it's kind of funny. We're what are we, 40 games later now? We are, about 56 games into the season, 46 games later, and it is Immanuel Quickley who, in reality, has made the big third-year leap for the New York Knicks. 7 of 15 from the field in this one, 4 for 9 for 3, 18 points, 4 assists, 3 boards, 32 minutes. +9 on a night where the Knicks' other, if you want to consider Immanuel Quickley shooting guard, the Knicks' other shooting guard, RJ Barrett, 35 minutes was -9. So that is a trend that you can plug them in with different players, but like particularly like I was immediately go to like how they play with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, and it is clear, at least at this point, like Quickley is a much better fit with those two, and even though Quickley has been fantastic on offense, it's not really because he's that much better offensively than RJ Barrett. It's because he is such a better defender. But I want to highlight a bit of his offensive game for showing how he has transformed for the better this season and even within this season. And to me, that is his ability to maintain his dribble and his confidence in his one-on-one scoring. Like he had a play where he got Mo Wagner, the Magic center, the older one, the less good one. Switched onto him, and to Mo's credit, who's not a great defender, certainly not a great rim protector. Like Mo kind of shut him down initially, and earlier this season, Quickley would have picked up the basketball, probably in the paint, pivoted around a few times, and probably thrown it away, or kind of just sent a live grenade to a teammate with the shot clock dwindling. And instead of doing that, Quickley just kind of faced back up on Wagner between the legs, crossover a couple of times, got back to the middle of the floor, and hit an extremely tough fade away over Wagner. And I was like, wow, cool moment. Like that was progress in real time for Immanuel Quickley. And it's been building for a while. Had a 2-play stretch where he hit back-to-back floaters in the first half. Like one of them was a really tough 8-foot runner. Again, I just think that speaks to his confidence, and Quickley, like you're always looking at the swag factor, right? Like there is that little bit of like Steph Curry, Dame Lillard showman. Like, no, is he that kind of talent? Absolutely not. But he has a little bit of that flair in him. Like even like Bones Highland, like who's probably a more talented offensive player than Quickley, not even, or at least a more talented scorer, not even close to like the same universe defensively as Immanuel Quickley, but just in terms of guys who have that innate sense of confidence. And for Quickley, I mean, maybe innate's the wrong word, because at times you felt the last 2 years that it's waned a little bit, but it feels like it's back full throttle right now. And you combine that with the 3-point shooting, returning, and a little bit of that Steph factor in terms of his ability to just kill opposing teams on relocation threes. Like him and Randle had a great one. Randle got a rebound and like Quickley like immediately darted behind him to the corner. And you see those two developing a really nice chemistry, when in the past, like Tibbs, like essentially never let them play together. Quickley's first 2 seasons, like now they're getting significant court time together, and it's really paying off. Like Randle, in this case, just threw a no look behind the back pass to Quickley in the corner. Quickley banged home the wing 3, and then that kind of like when he starts getting those like easy ones on relocations, like you could tell his confidence in terms of self-generated threes goes through the roof. Like he had won again, got Mo Wagner on a switch between the legs, snatch back dribble, step back. And it gave the Knicks their first lead of the game since it was 2-0. 90 seconds in the fourth. I think it was 72-71. If I remember correctly. And that was awesome from Immanuel Quickley. When we return, I want to wrap up talking RJ Barrett. I thought it was a pretty good night for Quentin Grimes. I want to touch on him. Isaiah Hardenstein, Obi Toppin, Jericho Sims, all the rest. We'll take you through this Knicks victory. But before I do that, I got to tell you about our newest sponsor here at Locked On. You know them, you love them. It is FanDuel. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel. because it's America's number one sportsbook. Let me repeat that for everyone. America's number one sportsbook. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the number one sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. So download FanDuel so you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000. Wow. Back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go crazy on a Super Bowl parlay this year. I really, maybe this is crazy, but I just believe in Pat Mahomes. I trust the Chiefs in this game. I trust the infrastructure. I trust Mahomes more than Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to throw some weird ones out there. Maybe Kadarius Toney goes over 50 yards. Who's to say? But FanDuel, the FanDuel app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And with that, we are back, third and final segment here on Locked On Knicks. And I realized I didn't say it at the top of the show, so I'll clarify now. For everyone who follows along, I've not been on the show for most of the last 2 weeks, and that is because I've been on a West Coast trip, first to Phoenix, currently doing this one from Los Angeles. I know audio was a little shaky. I was trying out a Rode mic that I borrowed from a friend. The first time I did this, I think I tested it out. I think it's going to be better this time, but let me know as rudely as you want in the comments if that is not the case. And then Alex is going to wrap up the rest of the week for you guys. And the next week I'll be back and we'll both be going full throttle once again to take you through the rest of the Knicks season. But for now, we got to talk RJ Barrett, right? 35 minutes. Not a great night for RJ. 5 for 16 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, which is good. Just 2 for 4 from the line, 15 points, 3 assists in 35 minutes. We mentioned in contrast to Quickley's +9, plus minus RJ Barrett -9 in 35 minutes. And as I always say, not always indicative of how someone plays. In this case, I think it was pretty indicative for RJ, where he was forcing the issue at points and just had some tough sequences. But I want to give him credit because I think he bounced back in the fourth. Had a 3-play sequence back to back where he hit a floater, then he hit a 3, and then just had I thought easily his best offensive play of the day, where he ran a pick and roll, like it was underneath the elbows, really close to the rim with Jericho Sims. And again, defenses at this point, because Sims hasn't really proven himself to be an offensive threat, just tend to ignore Sims. And RJ leveraged that by taking this extra dribble middle, right? Like Sims's man was already leaning his way, but going even further that direction, kind of pulled, I think it was Wagner, like a step further from Sims, and RJ just rapid fire, hook lob over his head. Sims jam, that was great. And then RJ, he had one really poor defensive effort against Franz Wagner, essentially, like just because he wasn't really in position. He didn't really do pre-work before Wagner got the ball. Like he got blown by Wagner, got a dunk with, it was like 25 seconds left to cut the lead back to 2. But before that, RJ had a great play on Paolo Banchero, who was just kind of bulldozing his way through the Knicks on and off in the fourth quarter. And RJ stuck with him, used that core strength and blocked the shot. And whenever I see, or at the very least got a deflection on it, whenever I see plays like that with RJ Barrett, I kind of wonder, like, all right, like maybe is he better off guarding 4s in some matchups, because Paolo's like 6'10", 250, maybe more realistic, like 260, 270 pounds of pure muscle. And like, look, I wouldn't want RJ on him for a full game, but RJ really held his own from a physical perspective. And he might be kind of similar to James Harden, where like occasionally it feels like someone threw some rocks in their shoes, but like you try to post them up, try to go right at their chest, like you're gonna have some issues, because those guys are strong as you could possibly imagine. Quentin Grimes, I already mentioned the closeout he got off the nice pass from Julius Randle, but I thought there were some other like little signs of progress from Grimes. Like his ability to attack closeouts was such a weapon for the Knicks. Like the first 15 to 20 games, he was back, and then it fell off a little bit, and that's because I think teams kind of had the scout on it. And Grimes wasn't really varying what he was doing. He would beat the initial line of defense, but then his goal was like it was a 1-2 decision. There was never a third option. It was either, all right, I'm gonna be open, I'm gonna go up for the layup, or even more ideally, like I'm gonna shuffle it off to a big for a dunk at the last second. And teams are kind of covering up those options better than ever. So what did Grimes do when he attacked the closeout? I think it was, what was it, like the fourth, not the fourth possession of the game, but like late in the first quarter. He stopped and he kind of pivoted midair, like did like a little double pump and just kicked it, spun around, kicked it out to a wide open Julius Randle for three. And instead of just, I think a lot of times in these situations, he's been reading the opposing center and whether they step up or not on a shot, but he's not reading the rest of the court. On that play, he read the entire court, saw where everything was moving, played the chessboard perfectly, got an open 3-pointer for Julius Randle. And the only other thing I saw from him that was kind of cool was his ability to use like a hesitation. And maybe that's something he's gotten from Jalen Brunson a little bit, though. He's always, well, like he's not great at it on closeouts. He is good at it on drives, but he beat his man and just kind of paused for a second. Like the whole defense kind of like relaxed, and then he just burst to the rim and got a layup straight down Main Street. We see Brunson do that over and over and over again. So I wonder if in practice that's something maybe Rick Brunson, the Knicks assistant coach and Jalen's dad, is emphasizing to Quentin, or maybe that's just like Jalen's going up to him saying like, hey man, just pause for a sec because it seems to freak everyone out, and then you just get a wide open layup. So that was really, really cool. Obi Toppin was really aggressive in this game, which is great. Is still continuing to really struggle to find a shot. 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. Did have 6 rebounds in 14 minutes, which is really good for him, including 3 offensive rebounds, one of which led to a big Jericho Sims dunk. Did go 3 for 4 from the line, which is fine. Kind of a mixed bag for Obi, but I wanted to highlight Sims because he started off the game with really good rim protection, and I just thought that faltered as the game went along. And his biggest issue for me is like at times, like for someone who is built like a Greek god and can fly up in the air, he seems awfully scared of contact. Like it was on Paolo, like where he just goes too deep in his drop, and he doesn't give himself a chance to get a real contest on some shots. And against a premier scorer with size like Banchero, like you're not, if you're jumping late, like you're either going to foul or you're not going to get a good contest on it, because some like the elite athletes in the NBA, they're I mean, not that Sims is an elite vertical athlete, but in terms of that quick jump ability, like he needs a little bit of time to spring up, and you're not going to beat a star wing in that race in the air. And that was evident on that play. There was another one where, and I don't know, he might have gotten hooked on this play because I think it was Wendell Carter. Like they were kind of like backing each other down, but again, like Fultz got like that late dunk where he just spun off quickly and got right to the rim, and Sims was under the basket, but nowhere to be seen in terms of contesting the actual dunk. So that is my kind of big concern for Jericho Sims. Anyways, that wraps up this edition of the Locked On Knicks podcast. Big Knicks win. I'm Gavin Schall. Alex Wolf, my fantastic co-host, who I forgot to say at the beginning of the show, but it's just great, is the editor-in-chief of The Strickland, the greatest Knicks website out there. So go check out all their work on all forms of social media at thestrick.land. He's going to have you covered for the Knicks game on Friday against the Sixers, assuming we do one for Saturday morning. If not, we'll just have you covered through the trade deadline tomorrow, which will be really exciting. I might pop on if the Knicks make a move. So maybe you'll get both of us. But if not, I will be back next week in full force, fully rested. And yeah, just appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon on Locked On Knicks.